Welcome to Extreme Reloading. In this episode, we're finally heading out to the range. You know, we've spent 15 episodes talking about reloading, everything from the bare essentials, bare necessities, through a little bit of extreme reloading. And we've been focusing on the 5.56 and the 9mm Luger. Well, today, we're heading out to the range to shoot groups with both of those rounds. Now, I'll be using my IWI Tavor rifle for the 5.56 NATO test, shooting a 62 grain Barnes TTSX bullet, and I'll be shooting the 124 grain V-Crown bullet with my HK VP9. You know, it's excellent weather here in the spring. Lots of people, I bet you, are going to be heading out to the range, so I don't want to dawdle. I got to get going. See you out there. Since we just finished loading the 9mm Luger with these 124 grain Sierra V-Crown bullets, I'm going to go ahead and shoot these first, and then I'll follow up and shoot some groups with the 5.56. .1188. .1189. This is one of those times I really wish I would have put a target cam out here. I forgot it today, but there are 3 holes right here. Now, I'm only shooting from 7 yards, but I could see, and you can see it elongated, I could see these shots impacting here, you know, as I was firing. Shot 1, shot 2, 3, 4, and then 5 up here, extending this. That's just excellent. Really, really happy how this set of reloads turned out. Barnes 62 grain TTSX. We're clear. Well, before I came out, I did a little test shooting, and I noticed that this rifle with the 0 was shooting a little bit to the right, so I corrected it to the left, not quite enough, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 rounds, one off target. That one definitely was one of mine. Strung quite a bit horizontally. Got to try to figure that out. Well, let's break this down, and we're going to start by looking at the 5.56. Let me ask this. How do we determine that we have good ammo? Well, we can start off just by saying that we want to have safe and reliable ammo, so therefore this ammo that we crafted certainly passes that criteria. But what about something we might call good ammo or very good ammo? To answer this or to address this, let's think about a couple of things. Number one, go back and think about the application for this particular load. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But also, let's consider and recall to mind that consistency equals accuracy. That consistency criterion we have used all the way through our reloading process. We want our primers seated as consistently as possible, case weights to be as consistent as possible, powder charges as consistent as possible, etc., etc. Well, that also goes to and carries all the way through to when we're shooting. Consistent trigger squeeze, consistent way that we're holding the rifle, sight alignment, etc. Right? All of that plays a role, but also the consistency in how that ammunition performs is also really important. So let's bear that in mind as we step through this. And as I said, we will start by looking at the 5.56. First of all, the load performed really well. On the muzzle velocities from our lab radar chronograph, we got an average muzzle velocity of 2,846 feet per second for the 62 grain bullet, and only 6.5 feet per second of standard deviation. So it easily falls in there within that golden single digits that we always try to achieve. So that's really good. But the actual accuracy, or I should say rather precision, on the target wasn't, initially it doesn't look too good. We have one, as you might recall, that flew completely off the target. They strung very much horizontally. Extreme spread was 2.055 inches. That is a 1.96 MOA group. Kind of a large group if the application for this particular load was for precision rifle purposes. But it's not. If you watched that episode of Extreme Reloading, you might recall that this particular bullet and its application, the reason why I'm using it, is for home defense. So let's think about this a little bit. How bad is a 1.96 MOA group for a home defense round? How realistic, let me ask, is it that we're going to be shooting 100 yards for a home defense application? Well, in my house, it's absolutely impossible. So, it's much more realistic that maybe 25 yards. I don't think even that's possible in my home. 10 yards? Okay, that's realistic. 7 yards, those sort of things. That's realistic. Let's look at that 10 yards. Well, a 1.96 MOA group at 10 yards equals 0.196 inches. That's less than a quarter inch, obviously. That is less than a dime size group at that 10-yard distance. A dime is almost 3/4 of an inch, so visualize that. That's really good. So I would say that this ammunition for a home defense application is perfectly adequate. However, one thing I am going to do, I'm going to test it again, but if indeed this group is still shooting to the right, I am going to further move this thing to the left. It won't take too many clicks to get it to move over to where I want it to be, but certainly I'll want to make that modification to how the rifle is zeroed with that particular scope. That's a Smith & Bender short dot scope. Very, very nice scope, but I digress a little bit. Now let's turn our attention to the 9mm Luger that we were loading. Recall that's that 124 grain V-crown bullet. Wow, I have no complaints on this thing. Well, not really. 1,186 feet per second average muzzle velocity, 7.6 feet per second standard deviation of those 5 rounds. Again, right there in that single digit standard deviations. We did our job correctly, very well with the reload process. 1.094 was the extreme spread. That's not bad. This particular pistol, my HK VP9, has done even better, quite a bit better with some the Corbon bullets that it really shoots well. The accuracy wasn't bad. Total score of 47 points on the bullseye, none of them absolutely in the X, but 2 of them clearly breaking into the 10 ring. Now, one thing that hasn't happened before for me at all, especially shooting offhand, is that 3-shot group, if you want to call it that, 3-shot group right in there, just really, really shot well. But I will also note that this is a particularly accurate pistol, the HK VP9. If I were using this as my choice everyday carry personal defense round, which it's not, but if I were using it, I would adjust that red dot sight so that this group just pushes right down in there. That would be all the better. I hope you'll join us in our next episode as we wrap up this season of Extreme Reloading, and we're going to be discussing calculating bullet drop and trajectories for your reloads. If you've got any comments or questions, ideas, post those in the comments section below, and thanks a bunch for watching.